Welcome to the podcast for Grace Christian Fellowship. We're really glad you found us here online. We're a thriving contemporary church in Ferguson, Guelph, Ontario, seeking to live our lives as a family on mission. We hope you enjoy this week's message and pray that you would be impacted by God's Word today.
I'm going to be preaching on the faithfulness of God, and it's going to get a little intense. There's a book called the Book of Hosea, so it is PG-13, R-rated. So if there are kids here, maybe it's going to get a little intense. Maybe Sunday school is a better option. Just wanted to give parents warning. Might have some hard conversations later today if they are still here. All right. I wanted to open with this story that I find just so fascinating. I think there's stories in the Bible that remain a mystery as to what really happened. So this is John 7 and 8. They each went to his own house, but Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Early in the morning, he came again to the temple. All the people came to him and sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery and placed her in the midst, and they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. What do you say?" This they said to test him, that he might have some charge to bring against him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. How did Jesus respond? Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. In a synagogue similar to this, Jesus is teaching, and some Pharisees drag this woman and literally lay her right in front of him. The entire crowd is watching this interaction. And Jesus pauses and he writes in the ground. We don't know what it said. We don't know what he wrote. I have some ideas. There's one I'll propose, not as like the actual answer, but as how beautiful would it be if this is what he wrote. I'm going to pause that story there, allow your brains to just race a little bit. So if you were here last week, if you're not, I'll just give you a quick update. Mike preached on the imprint of God. And so that is going to be a series we're going to be diving into for the next couple weeks. And then the idea is that we all have been marked, or if you allow yourself, we all can be marked by the heart of Jesus. And so what does that mean? What does that look like to be impressed, to be marked by Jesus? And it's quite complex. And so Mike gave the very beginning of it. And so each week we're going to dig a little deeper and understand a little more about what that imprint actually looks like. Who Jesus is, which actually is going to reflect on who we are, what that imprint is actually going to do to us. And so when Mike, he brought all the preachers together and was like, okay, like what do you feel like that is? What kind of mark did Jesus have in your life? How has he changed you? What does that look like? And so I kept praying and praying and praying, and there's just this one word I couldn't get out of my head. And it just kept happening again and again, and I couldn't think of anything else. And it's something that has been coming up in my life every single day since I could remember. And that thing is the faithfulness of God, the faithfulness of Jesus. There's a line that Paul says that I find he puts it so beautifully. It's 2 Timothy 2, 11 to 14. He says, "If we have died with him, we also live with him. If we endure, we also reign with him. If we deny him, he will deny us. If we are faithless, he remains faithful." I don't know if you're tracking that, but it's kind of weird, right? So, if any math teachers here, anyone who knows what 1 + 1 equals, There's an obvious thing where if this, cause and effect, if this happens, this is going to happen, right? If you jump off a cliff, you're going to break your leg. It happens all the time. Koa jumped down the stairs, 6 stairs, broke his foot. Cause and effect. If we die, we live with him. If we endure, we reign with him. Those two make sense, right? If we deny him, he denies us. Sounds like an obvious response as well. And yet this fourth one makes no sense. If we are faithless, he is faithful. He remains faithful. No matter what. I may get emotional during the sermon. No matter what, he is faithful. No matter what you do, he is faithful. Whew. Okay, so this is where it gets pretty raw. But I want you to flip to Hosea chapter 1. Hosea is one of the prophets. He is a prophet for the nation of Israel and the nation of Judah. He's coming in right at the end of Israel's reign, and then the Assyrian Empire are going to take them out. So his message is quite hard, as this nation of Israel has been rejecting the king of Judah, David's lineage, rejecting God himself, and they've been putting up Baals and other idols, worshiping other gods for, I think, 300 to 400 years. Here we go. Hosea 1. The word of the Lord that came to Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. When the Lord first spoke through Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, "Go, take yourself a wife of whoredom and have children of whoredom, for the land commits great whoredom by forsaking the Lord." So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. Sometimes when you just read the Bible, you're like, I'm sorry, wait, what did I just read? That's in the Bible, and I tell my kids to read this? This whole book, this whole story is devastating. And if you're new to Christianity and you're new to the Bible, God calls these prophets up during the time of Israel and Judah to be mouthpieces for him, to speak the truth to the country and saying, you are my chosen people, but you are choosing to rebel against God. Please turn, please repent, please turn back to me. And prophet after prophet that rises up, they get denied, rejected, and a lot of them get killed. And God not only uses them as mouthpieces, but he also uses them as symbols. He makes Ezekiel lay on his side for like 365 days and then flip sides for another 40. He makes Jeremiah live a single bachelor life. And here he makes Hosea marry a prostitute. And maybe that's not the craziest thing in the world, but if you are to take the culture of Israel, the importance of purity, the importance of staying clean and staying in the law, priests were not allowed to do that. The men of God were not allowed. And you were very judged to date somebody who had even been with somebody else, been married before or slept with somebody else. So this ask that God is asking Hosea to do is insane. It's wild. But Hosea does it. He finds this woman, Gomer. He calls her in, and he marries her. And then he has 3 children. You're going to love these names. You ready? Jezreel, because judgment is coming to Jezreel. No mercy, because God is not going to show mercy to Israel. And not my people, because God is going to reject his people. I don't know if there was an argument between Gomer and Hosea, but Hosea finally was like, no, trust me, God told me. We're going to call her No Mercy. Now, No Mercy, come do the dishes. Sounds pretty ruthless. But if she was on a football team, hit him, No Mercy, hit him. I'm sure she would kill it. But pretty rough names that, imagine growing up, that is your name. My name is No Mercy. My name is not my people. You're holding rejection. You're holding brokenness. You're holding ruthlessness. And the saddest part happens as you read chapter 1 and 2. You find out that not only is this marriage just so hard, but she ends up leaving him. And she goes off into the city and starts sleeping with all sorts of men. She gets all sorts of money by these guys. She's living a lavish lifestyle, but then the money starts going dry, and then she's destitute once again. And what does God ask Hosea to do? It doesn't make sense. She's completely unfaithful, and yet God calls him to take her back. Not because she even really chose to, just because of a complete destitution. She had nowhere else to turn. He comes and he actually takes her back. Why? Why would God want to do this? Why would God want to take back or ask Hosea to take us back? When we are faithless, why is he faithful? It's a question I'm still struggling with today. Why is he faithful? So I'm going to be completely raw with you guys today. When I was 21, I shared my testimony at the Polar Bear Run, which was pretty fun. Definitely terrifying, talking to a bunch of people that don't know Jesus about Jesus. Different when it's in a church setting, I guess. But when I was 21, I finally gave my life to Jesus 100%, and he changed my life. Gave up drugs, gave up drinking, gave up pursuing girls. And so I'm 6 months into this new life. I've been running hard, reading my Bible. I started a prayer group. I was going as fast as I can. And I got a job at Queen's to be a bartender. And on my mind, I'm like, this is a great opportunity for me to preach the gospel as a bartender. So I get the job, and I meet all these new people, and one of my best friends is with me. And we're like, okay, we'll both just bring 2 beers. And I hadn't drank for a year at this point, not 1 beer since then. I'm like, 2 beers, great idea. Okay, let's do it. And I just started dating this girl. We had been in for a couple months, and we were really, really in love with each other. And I bring these 2 beers, and I end up getting most plastered, most drunk I've ever been in my life. And I walk this girl home, and I end up sleeping with this girl. And I wake up in the morning, and it hit me. There's those moments where it's like, oh, you don't really know what you're doing, but you know what you're doing. And I woke up in the morning, and the fog had lifted, and the shame I felt came on me like never before. It was the darkest time of my life. It was during exam season, and I remember a car driving one way, and the first time in my mind, I thought I would love to just jump in front of that car right now and not have to deal with this pain and shame and humiliation. And I remember calling her, and she lost her mind. And I remember her mom calling me, and she said this line that rocked me. She said, "Once a cheater, always a cheater." And this label was just put on my forehead that I thought I could never get rid of. And it was so hurtful for me because I'd been trying so hard. I gave my life to Jesus. I'm going as hard as I can, and I'd been doing so good. And yet, in a moment, in one night, I blew it all up. I messed everything up. And there's another guy in the Bible who does something similar. His name is Peter. He's going hard after God. He even takes the sword to defend Jesus when they come to take him. And yet, when the rooster crows, 3 times he denies Jesus. In the book of John, John makes it quite painful. It says, after the 3rd denial, the rooster crows, and Peter looks and legit makes eye contact with Jesus in that moment of complete denial. And Peter runs off, completely ashamed. I share this story not because I wanted to, but I really felt called to because I feel like we all carry labels. I feel like we all have marks on our forehead of things that we've done or things people have said over us that is not true. Or maybe it was true, but it's not actually who you are. It's not who God has called you to be. And what I really believe God wants to do today is rip those labels off. He wants to rebirth your identity and make you new. So last year, we had the Christmas market, or maybe it was 2 years ago, and I had Koa, and I had this brand new, really nice white t-shirt, looking good for the Christmas market. I'm running around. Koa's got chocolate chips. He's stuffing his face. I pick him up. Next thing you know, I'm like chocolate in the front, chocolate on the back. I'm like, great. I'm the one trying to organize this thing, and everyone's like, oh gosh, what happened to you? And I'm carrying this shirt that has been stained. I'm walking around aware of my disgust. I've become super self-conscious. I'm like, I feel dirty. I look dirty. People think I look dirty. And that's what these labels of identity are. Some people know. Some people, you're like, oh, you know I have that chocolate stain, but they don't know. So like I can actually keep that label hidden from some people at least. I can pretend when I come here on a Sunday morning that I'm fine, that I'm a good guy or a good girl. But really, God knows what's underneath. Some people here might even know you're trash, or maybe that's why we move churches. Fresh start. We can hide it a little longer. But God doesn't want that. He wants to rip the labels off. He wants to purify us. And for those who got baptized a couple Sundays ago, I hope this message is encouraging for you, because sometimes when we get baptized, we're on this like, woohoo, like Jesus is the best. And then it's the first fall or the first temptation or the first mean thing somebody says where all of a sudden you're just like, oh no, like I thought it would be easier. Like I gave my life to Jesus. Why is this so hard? It's like, this is life. Discipleship is a journey, and it's one step at a time, and we're just going to get closer and closer to heaven's gates until the day that we're taken. But we still live in a world of brokenness and sin. And sin is always crouching at the door. It's okay, I don't mind. A little background. So prayer and fasting week, it was a hard week. It's a beautiful week, but a really hard week for me and Brittany and the kids. I was not a very patient father. And we just felt a lot of weight happening that week. And Selma, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, came to me and she said, I have a word, but it was kind of harsh and I feel weird saying this, but the word is purity or purify. And I've been thinking about that word all week this week. And I'm like, I think this is pure gold. Purify. So then I kind of went on a little bit of a rabbit trail, started researching, what does it look like to purify gold? How long does that take? Long time. If you were wondering how to get 24 karat pure refined gold, it is an insane process of chemicals, melting, more chemicals, different elements to extract all the other elements. It is an insane process. Not only that, but to get the metal hot enough, it has to burn at 1,900 Fahrenheit, which is over 1,000 Celsius. To cremate a body takes 700 Celsius. So the refining fire, are you guys getting where I'm going with this? The refining fire that we sing about, Lord, refine us, would melt our bodies into powder. It's not an enjoyable process, as Rocco was sharing his grind, the pain, the suffering. But it is so good. This refining process of allowing God in, opening ourselves up, coming to a front on a Sunday morning, going to a group of men and saying, I have this. I need help. That is the refining process. And it hurts, and there's tears. A confession to a wife or a husband is terrifying. You don't know how they're going to react. But holy cow, does it bring you closer after. We need to open ourselves up to this refining fire. I wanted to do a quick demonstration. Dwayne and Thomas, do you want to come up here? Come right here, Dwayne. You're nice and strong. I'm going to hold on to that. You might die, by the way. Okay. Grab on to that. Thanks. All right, now I want you to lean on this edge right here, Thomas. And Dwayne, I want you to hold them up. You're going to lean a little farther, Thomas? You got to trust Dwayne. He's strong. Further leaning. Further leaning. Okay, perfect. Try again. Try again. Get really grounded and low. Yes, Dwayne. Now he's trying. Right there. Okay, good. Okay. This is death. Yeah, not a good place to be. This is life. This is God. Probably looks like that. Super strong. Great looking guy. This is our love relationship between us. This is us, by the way. Thanks, Thomas. And God. This is a beautiful, beautiful bond, a rope of love. However, sin has come into the world. Oh. God's real strong. And it breaks. Break, Thomas. So much mercy. And he dies. Wow. Makes for a good movie. Stay up, stay up, stay up. Story isn't over yet. Grab that rope. We still need you on the rope. Scott McClelland, come on up here. Thomas, back here. Actually, no, you're still dead right down there. Sorry. And Scott, you're going to stand right here. All right, there's this crazy thing that happened. God sent his son down to this earth. Reattach you to Scott. God sent his son in order to bring back the faithfulness of God. He rejoined, but in order, pull nice and hard. Further, stretch out your arms, Scott. Pull them back up. You gotta lean again. Dwayne, pull so you can help Scotty. Jesus' death on the cross, the blood that he poured out, is actually the faithfulness of God to keep us back in a relationship and love with him. How beautiful is that? Just stay there. You guys can grab a seat. He'll start shaking in a couple minutes. Make him sweat a little bit. the faithfulness of God, it doesn't make sense. But that is what I personally think is the greatest mark that we could possibly have. Jesus marked us with faithfulness. And the question is why? It's because of his love. Like a father to a son, it's because of his love. That's why he's so faithful to us. It doesn't make sense. When we sin, when we fall short, when we make poor choices, he's continuing to be there. He sends Hosea back to get Gomer. He runs back to Peter in the fishing boat and calls him a shepherd to take care of his flock. And yes, the woman in adultery. Let's read it again. Jesus went to the Mount of Olives early in the morning, and he came again to the temple. All the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery. Placing her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now the law of Moses commands us to stone such women. So what do you say?" This they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bends down and writes in the ground with his finger. As they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And at once more he bent down and wrote on the ground a second time. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left all alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She says, "No one, Lord." And Jesus says, "Neither do I condemn you. From now on, sin no more." How beautiful is that story of God's faithfulness. He is faithful when we are faithless. Worship team, you can come on up. And then we're also going to take communion. But before we do, those who do want to help with communion can get things set up here. I just felt like there was a nudge, a very strong nudge, that God wanted to speak to you. He wants to mark you this morning, imprint something. I don't think the blood that he poured out that day was wasted. That blood is a symbol of forgiveness. It is the purifying. It is the refining fire. Through his blood, we truly are marked new. Yeah, just listen to this. He picks up the woman and says, "You are forgiven, sin no more." Hosea buys back Gomer and says, "You are forgiven, sin no more." He picks up Jason and says, "You are forgiven, sin no more." And he picks up you this morning and he says, "You are forgiven, sin no more."
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. All of our information about what's happening at Grace, along with resources, our vision, and more, can be found online. Just go to igrace.ca.